dear viewers, this is Dr. Aisha Nazuk here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Rao Hub. And those of you who have landed first time on my channel, let me give a brief introduction that on this channel you will find different lectures. For example, I have maintained a proper playlist, and one of the playlists is on Introduction to Statistics, which is a very basic and introductory undergrad level course on statistics. I have one playlist on probability theory as well, and then we have two playlists on econometrics. One is the introduction to econometrics, while the other is applied concept of econometrics, and in that playlist I have used the Stata software. Besides these academic playlists, we have some interesting playlists on this channel as well. For example, I make videos on human behavior, on positivity, on in fact there's a playlist on humor as well. So this channel is a holistic portal which gives you material relevant to your academic life, as well as some alternate form of learning. Like I said, positivity and humor is also an alternate dimension of learning. Okay, so without putting you to much weight, let's focus on what's this today's video is all about. We're going to discuss the concept of normal probability plot and how to make this plot in Microsoft Excel. You know that whenever we run a statistical test, let's say that we run regression, or we find correlation between two variables, or we do some hypothesis testing, then one of the crucial assumptions is that the data is normally distributed. So how can we test whether a data is normally distributed or not, and how can we do in a relatively simpler graphical approach using Microsoft Excel? So let's learn how to make normal probability plot and how to link this concept with linear regression. Remember that when we run linear regression, then we always test the normality assumption on the residual part, or y minus y hat part. That residual should be normally distributed. Currently I have this Excel file on your screen. This Excel file is about SAT exam scores. So let's say we have data on how different male candidates have performed in the maths section of SAT exam, and how some females have performed in the maths section of the SAT exam. So let's say we want to run a regression in which we treat the male score as a dependent variable. So let me write here that my dependent variable is male score in maths, and of course I'm talking about SAT exam, and the independent variable is females score in maths SAT exam. So we want to see how the average male score, or the average SAT score of males is dependent upon the average SAT score of females. So remember that the data given, for example, in first row we have this number 527. So this is the average math score for males in 1972, and in 1972 the average math score for female is 489. Of course that's very easy to understand that it's not that only one female or one male is taking the exam. So of course these are average score. So let's say I want to run a regression in which I want to treat male score in maths as the dependent variable and female score in maths as an independent variable. So you know that if we have to calculate the regression equation, we need the slope and intercept. So here I have calculated slope, and if I double click on this column, you can see that when I click on the slope function, it says that I should first put the y series, and you can see that the y series is the E column, which is the male match score, or the dependent variable is the male match score, followed by the x series, which is the female match score. So once I use this function, then I will press enter, and this is the slope value. And then similarly I can calculate the intercept by using the intercept function in Microsoft Excel. So now I know that the regression equation has an intercept of 198 and slope of 0.67. So let's say I want to calculate the residuals. So you know that for residuals I need the predicted value of y, or the y hat series. So how are the predicted y hat series is calculated? You can see that I have used the regression equation, which is equal to intercept plus slope times the x variable. So if I calculate the first y hat, I can simply copy it and drag it downwards. So I'm skipping that part, you can simply paste it. So that's how I have calculated the predicted y values, or y hat. Now you know that the residual is equal to y minus y hat, and remember that y, or the dependent variable, was male match score. So y minus y hat, I have these values, and then I have copied these till the column's end. So now I have the residual series. Let's say I want to check whether this residual series is normally distributed or not. So I want to make a normal probability plot in Microsoft Excel. And so I'll make the plot in Excel, and I'll tell you how to interpret it in today's video. Okay, so first of all, what you need to do is you need to sort these values. So what I'm going to do, let me insert a variable here. First I will copy all these values, right? I'll copy, and then I'll paste as values. Why am I pasting as values? So that this exact value will be copied in the next column. If I don't paste as values, I will show you what happens. Let me insert here. Suppose I simply copy and paste here. You can see that these values are different. I mean, these are not the residual that I wanted, because you see that the column references have changed. Now this time it is subtracting column F and I, which is not required. So this column is wrong. So I should not paste in the usual manner. Rather I should go for paste special and choose the option of paste as values. Okay, so let me tell you once again that, for example, I copy the column, I have go to paste and paste as value. So this is the option that I have used. Now I have the residual column. Next, what I have to do, I have to sort this column. Suppose I select these values, all of these values, right? And what I have to do, I have to sort these values. So I'll go in the data tab, and I'll click on sort. Once I click on sort, I'll have that there is a pop-up here on my screen, which is asking me that whether I want to sort the entire sheet or continue with the current selection. So I will choose second option, because I don't want to sort the other column. So I will choose this option, continue with the current selection, and then I click on sort. Another pop-up window comes up, and it's asking me whether I want to sort from largest to smallest or smallest to largest. So that doesn't make any difference. You can sort it anyway. So suppose I have sorted using smallest to the largest option, and rest of the things are fine. So I'll click on OK. So now you see that I have the sorted values of residual. You can verify that before making the video I sorted them already. So you can see that these are exactly the same, because these sorted residuals are the same as what I have done or shown you how to sort here. Okay, so I have the column of sorted residuals. Now what you have to do is you have to generate a column I, and let's see what I have stored here. Actually I want to, let me type here that I'm generating these I values in a manner that these are uniformly spaced values, right? What is meant by uniformly spaced value? That is, there's a certain pattern that I'm going to follow while I generate the I values. So suppose if I double click here, if you notice how many values are there in this regression, you will see that there are a total of 36 values. So, because remember, the data is starting from the third row and it's ending at 38. So I have 36 values. So I can use this fraction 1 divided by number of observation, which is 36. And then next, if I double click on the next cell, this is equal to the previous cell plus 1 by 36. So this cell, you can say that I'm just adding a constant in the last column. As I said that I want to make uniformly spaced values of I. Similarly, if I click on the third column, this is equal to the last column. In fact, the last row, I should not use the word column because these are rows. So last cell plus 1 by 36. So you can just verify by clicking that these are all the previous cell plus 1 by 36. For example, if I click here, the previous cell plus 1 by 36. So once you have made this column, what you have to see is you will have to check that all of these values should be less than 1 and greater than 0. So if you either you can visually verify this, or maybe you can calculate the minimum or the maximum. For example, if I calculate here minimum and maximum, so I want to see that the data I have made, let's check what's the minimum of this. So this is the I column, so I select the I column and I calculate the minimum. So the minimum is alright, because the minimum should not be negative, or the minimum should also not be 0. It should be greater than 0. So this minimum is greater than 0. Let's check the maximum. So suppose I want to calculate the maximum of the same I column that I have just made. So I select these values and I press enter, and you see that the maximum is 1. But we said that the maximum should be less than 1, right? The minimum should be greater than 0 and the maximum should be less than 1. So but this condition is not here met. We have this problem that the maximum is not less than 1. So let's try another method of making this I column. Instead of dividing by number of observation, that is 36, how about if we divide by the square of the number of observation, that is 1 divided by n square, or the square of the sample size. So this is exactly how I've done this in Microsoft Excel. 1 divided by power of 36 comma 2, so that means that I'm dividing by square of 36. And then similarly the next cell is simply the previous cell plus the fraction or the quantity that I have used to make this evenly spaced or uniformly spaced values. So let's say I want to check whether the condition of minimum being greater than 0 and maximum being less than 1, is it met here? So let me find the minimum of this new I series, and I select this column. By the way, you can easily visually see that the condition is met, but let's check here. Okay, so the minimum condition greater than 0 is met. Let's check the maximum condition. Okay, so that condition is also met, that the maximum is also less than 1. So that means this I column will serve my purpose. Next, what I have to do is I'll calculate the z-score or the normal score. As I said that the reference distribution here is the normal probability distribution, so I'm using the function norm.s.inv, which is a built-in Microsoft function, and then within bracket I have chosen this I value, and then I press enter. Then I'll simply copy this one and paste till the columns end. Okay, so now I have this series. Now what we are going to do, we have to make the plot. So which values will be plotted? We are going to use the column of sorted residual and the z-scores. So I have copied those in this sheet. So we need the column of sorted residual and the z-score. So I have copied these values, the sorted residuals and the z-score, in a separate sheet. And remember that whenever you copy things from one sheet to the other, keep in mind that you use the option of paste as values. Otherwise there will be some issues, because we have been using some formulas here. So always use the paste as values option. Okay, so I have the data on sorted residual and z-score. What I am going to do is I'll make this plot, and how I've made this plot, I'll simply select these data cells like this, and I'll go to insert, and then I'll choose the scatter option, and I can use this option or I can use this option. I mean, it's up to you how you want the line to be shown, whether you want a solid line, encircled line, and then join, and then this. Okay, so I have this normal probability plot, and let's say I enlarge it a bit. Okay, and actually what we are looking for in the normal probability plot is whether the pattern is close to the straight line. So let me add a trend line here. I click on this plus sign and I choose this option of adding a trend line. So you see I have this linear trend line, and data seems to be I mean, most of the data is close to it, but you see there is some curvature or a bend here as well. So strictly speaking, these residuals are not normally distributed, but if I were to use the word of approximately normally distributed, maybe I'll say that if for example I ignore the first few dots, most of the data could be said as a linear pattern or close to the straight line. So I can safely say that the residuals from this linear regression are approximately normally distributed. So this is how we can test the assumption of normal distribution in Excel. And by the way, I have shown here one other thing that you were noticing, might be noticing that there is something extra here on your screen. What is this? If at some moment in time you think that you can't rely just on a graphical approach and you want to run a statistical test that can tell you whether a data is normally distributed or not, and then JB test or the Jagg-Bara test could be used. This Jagg-Bara, what's the method of calculating it? Through Jagg-Bara test, you can use, I'll paste this in the comment section. You can read, there are useful instructions here how you can calculate the Jagg-Bara statistics in Excel, and how you can test whether the residuals are normally distributed or not using the Jagg-Bara test. So this was all about the today's video, which was about making normal probability plot in Excel. So thank you for watching, and I really hope that you find this video useful.